Hands are everything. Use them to hold, grip, and sometimes even grasp. But all of mainstream gaming has seemingly forgotten about them. I mean, just look at God of War or Skyrim. For years, hands were just neglected, but thankfully, in 2020, when Mark Zuckerberg invented the first ever VR headset, the Oculus Quest 2, he did something revolutionary, and added hands to gaming for the first time ever. Hands kind of make the whole experience of a VR game. You do everything with them, so if you have sucky hands, your experience won't be as good as if you had, non-sucky hands or something. So what makes good hands? And which game, in my opinion that is always right and never wrong, has the best hands? Let's start with looking at good old Blade Sorcery. Starting with the model, they feel and look a little too stubby or something. I don't know, there's just something not completely right about them. They aren't bad, but they're not, great. But it's not just the model of the hands that matters. It's a multitude of other things. You could have the most beautiful, well-sculpted hands in the world, but it wouldn't matter if everything around the hands sucked. For example, look at the way the hands move. It's very fluid and the poses are very realistic. This makes the experience better and gives me the illusion that instead of just pressing a button on a controller, that I'm actually closing my hand. And the arms look really nice too. And it's important to take them into consideration too, because if you didn't know, they attach to the hands. The arms look alright, but more importantly, move fluidly and accurately. VR arms have to estimate where they are based on where the hands are and how they got to that point. Which is why a lot of games have elected not to use them. So how good is Blade Sorcery at making me feel like my hand is actually grasping the sword? It's pretty good. Pretty good hands, pretty good arms, pretty good movement. These are solid A-tier hands. Next, let's take a look at Into the Radius 2. It's still in early access, so everything I say is subject to change. But as of September 10th, 2001, when I'm recording this video, it is as so. The hands are gloved, and I honestly considered making a separate tier list for gloved hands because of the obvious differences, but decided against it. The hands are very well sculpted and look like hands that are wearing gloves. Nothing to complain about there. The poses they do are very nice, but instead of really closing gradually, they just kind of teleport into position, which makes it look a little unnatural, but to be fair, I didn't notice it until I was analyzing the hands for this video. The hands wrap around the weapons really well, and there's arms which adds a couple points. Though, the arms aren't all that accurate. They seem to be in very different positions from where my real arms are most of the time. These are pretty solid B-tier hands. This is about the quality I should expect going into every VR game. They aren't, outstanding, but they do their job and they do it pretty well. Moving on to another set of gloved hands, we have Onward. These hands are alright, I guess. They aren't that well modeled, but there really isn't too much wrong. What is that? Why is the fist the knuckle? That is not how human hands work. I see this as nothing but a product of big video game neglecting hands for hundreds of years. These poor game developers have no idea how human hands work. They pose horridly, and there are no arms. This is gross, and I almost considered an F tier, but I think I'll put this at D, because this is somehow not as bad as it gets. Next, let's take a look at Bone Lab. Oh, my bad. It looks like the devs forgot to add the hands, just like they forgot to update their game. Anyways, we're going to be using the Ford avatar, so this is kind of a review of both Boneworks and Bone Lab. Ford's hands are very sexy, and about as realistic as they can get. You can see pretty much every individual pore on his skin. I think it's because this guy named Brett was scanned for Ford or something. The hands move very nicely and grip around objects very nicely too. The fingers and palms can actually move separately. If the fingers are gripped onto something that doesn't exactly require the palms to be too, they can move. And the arms. They move about as perfectly as they possibly can. It always feels like my avatar's arms are exactly where my real arms are. SLZ is inconsistent with their releases and updates, but they are always consistent in quality. When they do release something, it's great. And this game has a whole built-in avatar system, so whoever you are or whatever you are, you can have your hands look like you. Easy. Very easy, S-tier hands. I'm honestly, debating on calling this one a VR game because it's Skyrim VR. Now comes the great question. of will Skyrim VR work? So first off, you have hands. These hands don't move whatsoever, no matter what input you put in. They move when you cast spells sometimes, but that's pretty much about it. And when you hold something like a sword, your hands just disappear and turn into sword or something. Skyrim VR has always done the absolute bare minimum to be considered a VR game, so this isn't really a surprise, but how horrible it is still honestly quite amazing. Easy F tier, but we have to be thankful that Bethesda can't get any worse than these are the hands. Fallout 4 VR. You have no hands. You have controllers. They didn't go through the effort of making or even just, reusing the hand models from the original game for this. This is atrocious. And I would say it deserves an F tier. But even Skyrim VR's barely existing hands are better than what these are. So we got Fallout 4 VR tier. On a much, much better note, we have The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. This also works for The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners Chapter 2 Retribution, because they are literally the same damn game. Anyways, these hands are really nice. They're the first stylized hands on this list, which is a really nice touch. They pose extremely well and come to those poses very nicely. And there's also finger physics, not like the Beyond Sandbox hot dog fingers, but actual good-looking finger physics, like this. Oh yeah. Oh my god. They move when touching objects, which is a really nice touch. But they don't move weirdly, they move, only the way that you would expect fingers to. And you have arms. Pretty good arms. And they did all of this in the year of 2019. Just because of that, this is going to be an easy S tier. These guys were ahead of the game. I don't think even Boneworks was out at this point. I am putting it a little behind Boneworks because I don't think it's quite as good, but it's still definitely great. Definitely a solid S tier. So if Mark gave me the power to Zuckerberg, what would I do to make the world's best VR hands? First off, I'd have the model to at least look vaguely human. Honestly, maybe something more stylized like in Saints and Sinners would be good, because if you go for realism and mess up, they could look incredibly odd. I'd add arms, but I would kidnap Mr. Brandy Glap and have him add them, because I know it's his dark magical powers that make Boneworks' arms work so well. Once I harness that power, I'll use it to make the light finger physics, once again like in Saints and Sinners. Nothing that looks incredibly stupid or extreme like in another game.
We simulate every small interaction down to your fingertips.
Anyways, if you've somehow made it this far into a tier list about hands, thank you for watching, and please consider subscribing. If you feel like supporting me, I have a Discord server where I am currently running a $150 giveaway. More details on how to join are in there. I have channel memberships you can join if you're interested in that, but it's $3. If you have more important things to spend $3 on, don't join. All my links are at the top of the description. And again, thank you for watching.